Whether you're a Road to Glory player looking for some nice teammates to play alongside you in your career, or a Dynasty player looking for some building blocks to either start your team with or snag in the portal, it is important to know who the best freshmen are in the country for college football 26. And in today's video, I'm going to give you top 5 freshmen at every single position in the game, along with some honorable mentions, guys who just missed the cut for most of these positions. Let's get into it. Now, starting with the quarterback position here, it's important to note that I'm not only considering overall when making these rankings, I'm also considering development traits, skill caps, and abilities to have the best overall combination in terms of who the best freshmen are. And number 1 for me at the quarterback spot, it was a really tight race between this guy and the guy we'll talk about next. But here, Russell out of Alabama, star development trait, coming in as a 5-star high school prospect here. Really good abilities across the board. Has some room to grow across all of his abilities. I think this is the best freshman quarterback in college football 26. And if you're looking for a quarterback to throw you the ball throughout your career in a wide receiver road to glory, I think you can do much, much worse than Keelan Russell. Number 2 at the quarterback spot, and easily could have been number 1, will be Bryce Underwood, another 5-star high school freshman coming in, 6'4", 208 pounds. Ultimately, what had me pick Russell over Underwood is he has a little bit more room to grow, and that was really it. He has 96 throw power. He's a little bit slower than Russell. He has 1 less speed, but 1 more throw power, so very comparable players. He does have mobile resistance already maxed out, which is a point in his favor, of course, but ultimately his skill caps have a little bit less room to grow than Russell. Not by a lot, but these two were very close. Easily the top 2 players in the quarterback class in terms of freshmen for me. One thing to note is pay attention to what these deal breakers are, because if you're seeing deal breakers here with teams that have lower grades, that means there's a really good chance that these guys are going to be in the portal for you early on in your dynasty rebuilds, or they might leave your team if you're doing a road to glory. But of course, in the case of a dynasty, you would have to have a very high grade in that for them to be interested in transferring to your school. But I wanted to show you all of these guys, not only their dev traits and their ratings, but their deal breakers as well, so you have an idea of how likely they are to potentially transfer. The third quarterback on my list of top freshmen is a guy who has some serious speed and upside here. Haas Hejny for Oklahoma State. Not a bad team to pick for a dynasty series if you're looking for a quarterback to build around in the near future. He comes in with a blazing 91 speed with room to still grow in that area. Only an 87 throw power, but look how much that power has room to grow. Just really a lot of skill boosts available for Hejny. Just, in contrast to the first couple of guys who are already very good, but don't really have that much room to grow in the offseason. That's not the case here for Hejny. That accuracy and power both has a ton of room to improve. And don't get me wrong, it definitely needs a lot of improvement. That's why he has that room to grow. But if you're looking for a guy with some serious speed and some serious growth potential, look no further than Haas Hejny. For the 4th spot in my quarterback list, I wanted to go with the best pocket pass style of quarterback, even though it says here we've got a dual threat archetype on a name that I'm not even going to try to announce here out of California. And there were a lot of guys who were very similar, around 80 overall, really big arms, 95 throw power on all of them. It was between this guy and a couple of guys at much larger schools who will end up being in my honorable mentions. But if you're not one for running as much, and it's not like he'll never be able to run. He's at 78 speed here with some room to grow on it, but big arm, gonna have some really nice accuracies when he's done developing. But I wanted to go with a school that would be a little bit more intriguing here for a dynasty, or maybe even a road to glory here. And so here we go. I'm gonna try it. Saga Pulutele could be a very good quarterback to go after, especially looking at that deal breaker. Pro potential is only a C+. This could be a guy you could easily be looking for in the transfer portal down the line in your dynasties. With our final spot in the top 5 for quarterbacks, we're going with the only guy that does not have star development, but we're going with pure speed here. That's not even capped yet. 92 speed for Austin Carlisle. Could be an absolute beast in the backfield in the future. That rounds out our top 5 freshman quarterbacks in college football 26. Really tough list to cut down, one of the toughest out of all the positions. There are a lot of good options. And so we'll talk about some honorable mentions, which I'll put up on the screen right here before we get to the running backs. Before moving on to the next video, I would just like to take a moment to ask for a like on the video if you're enjoying what you've been seeing so far. This video took a ton of time to research all of these players and jot down the notes, rank them, etc. So if you could help me out with a like, I'd greatly appreciate it. But let's get back to these rankings. Kicking off the running back rankings is Harlem Berry out of LSU. Star development trait on him, but he has got some serious juice at 94 speed and 96 acceleration. Really nice room to grow and a good starting set of abilities for the LSU running back. In my opinion, the best college freshman in CFB 26, although this is another position that's pretty heavily contested if I do say so myself. Right behind Berry, though, at the number 2 spot is Gerard Pringle Jr., who once again comes in with that star development and some serious juice as well. I think these two are the top 2 running backs, whatever order you want to have them. That's, it's all opinion based at the end of the day. I'm just giving you what I think are the top players. Pro potential, only a C+, means Pringle could be headed to the portal in a lot of dynasty modes. So pay attention to that. If you're a high pro potential running back school, you could land yourself an absolute steal in Gerard Pringle Jr. Now, oddly enough, the star development traits ran out pretty quickly for the running backs, but that doesn't mean we don't still have some awesome players, including Gideon Davidson here, who has really nice speed, but also some great juke and spin moves. I think the best of any freshman coming out. A little bit low on the carrying, but a ton of room to grow there. So hopefully he can get that rating up quick. Gideon Davidson. Don't love already being out of star development here at number 3, but great physical abilities, great athleticism, and ball carrier moves. You could honestly argue for him to be higher than this. If he had star development, he would probably be my number 1, but they said that development trait was going to be more important in terms of players increasing overalls in the offseason in this game compared to what it was in the last game, and it was already important. So I'm really valuing the star development in these guys when I can get it. We are back to Miami here, who has 2 of our top 5 freshman running backs. If you're more of a power back enjoyer, then look no further than Zay Wilbon. Not quite as speedy as some of these other guys, but a little bit more in the power department, as he's an elusive bruiser here. One of the just highest overalls at this point left in the class. Another guy, because of that pro potential, you could be seeing in the transfer portal. Coming in at number 5 is DJ McKinney out of New Mexico here. Now, you might be surprised to see a normal development. Is he actually the 5th best freshman running back in the game? No, but I wanted for this 5th spot to get a player on a team that could be very interesting for a potential Dynasty series, as it's a lower tiered team, of course, outside of one of the power conferences. And should you pick New Mexico, you could start with a very quick and very good freshman running back. And with the addition of development trait boosts in this game, you could easily get him, I think, to impact, if not even star or above in his career, as long as you get him productive, of course. Taking the top spot at the wide receiver position as we move to a new list here is Micah Hudson. This one was an easy one, as he is the only elite development freshman we're going to talk about in this video. He is really an awesome player, an 85 overall already. He's not even a redshirt freshman, and I could have sworn I highlighted this player in last year's freshman video for College Football 25, so I don't know what happened there, if I'm missing something or if he should be a redshirt freshman and he's not. But really good speed, really good skill caps. He has a ton of room to grow, and he's gonna do so with that elite development. So I think Micah Hudson is in contention for not only the best receiver, because I think he's clearly that, but I think the best freshman in College Football 26. This game might be seeing him as potentially the next Jeremiah Smith, who was probably the best freshman overall, if not Arch Manning, in last year's game. Now it's Micah Hudson. He looks awesome. The guy coming in at number 2 for receiver is by no means a slouch by any means, with Decorian Moore. Star development here for Oregon. That 360 and sidestep moves already maxed out. 96 speed, 97 acceleration. If it wasn't for the elite development traits that we had with our number 1 player, this would easily be a number 1 player. The receiver position is so strong, and I wonder if that's kind of a Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams effect with how awesome they were as freshmen. If now these freshmen coming into College Football 26 have really awesome ratings as well, I don't mind it. I love seeing super awesome freshmen in the game, and Decorian Moore is certainly one of them. Heading over to Oklahoma for the number 3 spot on my favorite freshman receivers. In the case of Elijah Thomas here, it's really the combination of pretty solid size at 6 feet and 200, just under 200 pounds, star development, but it's really the speed. 95 speed here is really good for Elijah Thomas, making him one of the best freshman receivers in the game. We were just talking Oklahoma, so let's head to their rivals for the next player on my receiver rankings here in Khalil Lockett. Star development trait on him. Plenty of room to grow. 92 speed is certainly really good. Just a great combination of starting overall, upside, development traits, physical abilities. The works for Khalil Lockett. The 5th and final receiver here for our rankings today will be Derek Meadows out of Alabama. He's a little bit more of a different archetype, and that's why I wanted to throw him here at number 5. Impact development, but what you love about him is he's 6'5", and he already has 92 spectacular catch right from the beginning. And so maybe not the speed demon that we've seen from a lot of our earlier rankings, but a guy with that kind of size and hands combination is just a really fun potential player that you could snag in the portal or potentially have as a teammate in a Road to Glory series. To the tight end position, my vote for the number 1 tight end freshman in College Football 26 is Caleb Edwards. Start development, needs that playing time, but at 6'6" and 255 pounds, he's one of the fastest tight ends out there at an 86 speed with room to grow all the way up to 90, assuming that speed boosts are +2, which I believe is the case here in the game. And so Caleb Edwards should be a really, really fun tight end throughout his career as long as he can put that good development trait to use. Taking up that second spot for our best tight end freshman, we've got Andrew Olesh here at Penn State, 6'5", great size here. And in terms of the quickness, 86 speed, really good as well. He's going to get a ton better as a blocker, a route runner, really can get better everywhere, making him, of course, a great player to have. And then for the 3 spots, we don't even need to travel that far at all, as we're sticking with the Nittany Lions. We're going down quite a bit in overall, but a guy, because he's not going to get playing time, you could see in the transfer portal, and the reason he's rated this highly is because at 87 speed, he's the fastest tight end freshman that I found for the video. And who doesn't love a good fast tight end, 6'4", solid size as well. Brian Kordovich could be somebody to look out for in your dynasty mode as long as you can play him. Despite some star development players still on the board, we are dropping down to impact development here for Ethan Barbour, mostly to keep the speed up. He's kind of the last guy with any real juice at 84 speed at the tight end spot. Gonna go up to 86 potentially. So Ethan Barbour is coming up at the number 4 spot in our top 5 tight ends, but we'll get back to star development for number 5. Coming in at number 5 on the tight end list, though he certainly has a case to be much higher just based on the overall development, physicals, all that. It's really just I valued speed a lot. Whoa, he has 85 speed. I had it down as 81. Yeah, this ranking's messed up. This guy's higher than 5th. You're going to see probably a misstep or two when I'm taking all these notes on like 100 different players. I'm definitely going to have a fat finger or two or just an error or two. Yeah, Lincoln Cure is definitely not the 5th best freshman tight end. Seeing this now, he's at least 3rd, if not even higher than that. I think he's probably 2nd. Or maybe even 1st. Yeah, sorry, Lincoln Cure. You're going to be 5th on this video, but just know that this, I'm already saying, is the wrong ranking list, which will probably be the case at least once more in this video. I just have a feeling that I'm going to mess up. The over-under is 2.5 mess-ups in a video where I'm doing, taking this many notes on this many guys. But Lincoln Cure, you know, long story short, great freshman tight end for you to be on the lookout for in your dynasty modes or road to glories. Over to the offensive tackle spots, where this is probably the only position where you're going to see an impact development player at the number 1 spot on the ranking. It's mostly just because he's so much higher overall than the other guys, and he's got great physical abilities. Doesn't have a great archetype, but we'll talk about that in some of the other picks. It's just when you're 85 overall and one of the best offensive linemen, or the best, one of the best freshmen overall in the entire game, and a position group that we'll get to as we move along in these rankings, not only for tackle, but interior offensive line. Just offensive line, not a lot of great picks, we'll just say, as we get through these next 2 position groups, tackle and IOL. But Ethan Onyanwa, redshirt freshman, an exception at an 85 overall. David Sanders, number 2 on my list for the best offensive tackles. Already a couple of awesome physical abilities here. 6'6", 290 pounds. good archetype here. One thing you need to note as we go through both the tackle and the interior offensive line rankings, something I learned in a Bordeaux video, is there's an archetype for offensive line. I think it's called raw strength, if I'm not mistaken. That's typically an archetype you want to avoid. So all things equal, you know, I'll definitely go with the other archetypes. And the reason is it's just so much more expensive. Like, you know, David Sanders, his run blocking is already maxed out, but theoretically it would only cost him 4 to upgrade run blocking, whereas the raw strength guys, 5 for pass blocking, it takes them like double. I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be patched out, because that's like seems insane that it costs triple the cost to upgrade blocking for guys at certain archetypes compared to others. But for the time being, if you can avoid the raw strength, I think it's called, archetype for offensive linemen, I would certainly do so. And that's going to be reflected in my rankings, where I'm not going to go to raw strength unless there's just no options available, which will be the case because offensive line was not that deep. Number 3 at the tackle spot is coming out of Michigan, and Andrew Babalola, which is just an awesome name. But he has a good archetype. It's not the raw power. Star development once more. Has a couple of physical abilities, no mentals, but a ton of room to grow on Andrew here. He could be an extremely highly rated tackle by the time his college football career is said and done. And I'm going to be able to showcase that here because the next guy on my list is Lambert from Notre Dame, who does have that raw strength archetype. Now, unfortunately, there's just I already have to go to this archetype. Just again, the depth of offensive line in the base game is not very good. But you saw it cost what, 4 to upgrade run blocking theoretically, because again, this guy's also, all these guys are like maxed out run blocking. A lot of these guys are. It's kind of weird, but cost him 3 times as much to upgrade a run block just because of his archetype. Seems absolutely insane to me that that would be the case. So I'm not going to be recruiting raw strength offensive linemen, because why would you, unless you can get somebody that's just so much better than anybody else because you're going for that raw strength archetype. But otherwise, I'm avoiding it. But it is going to be making the list for this video just because, again, really lack of options, kind of forcing my hand in that way. Lamont Rogers is going to be the final player we highlight at the tackle spot. Another raw strength player. Is just, it is what it is. I mean, but look at this. I mean, just wisdom beyond his years. He's going to be an absolute stud. You just know it. I mean, looking like, you know, Lamont Rogers Sr. already at this point, but great development trait on him. Has some good physical abilities as well. Just, of course, is stuck with the terrible archetype, as are so many of the top offensive line freshmen in this game. So I've yet to really do much with recruiting. I don't know how prevalent this archetype is going to be in the recruiting, but I'm hoping it'll be easy to scatter around this archetype. I'm also going to say that offensive line is the only position in this video that I will not have any honorable mentions, because it was hard enough to find 5 players that I wanted to highlight at these spots. Now to the interior offensive line rankings, and I will say this position was very weak compared to a lot of the others that I did the research on for this video. Not in the case of Michael Carroll, though, who sits in our number 1 spot. Really good physical abilities already for him. Star development, and not going to get better as a run blocker, unfortunately, but can get a lot more powerful. Can get a little bit better at the pass blocking. So I think Michael Carroll is a really strong start to these rankings, but it does go downhill pretty quickly here. Second up on the IOL freshman list is out of the University of Miami. Another very tough name to pronounce that I will not even attempt. Star development, though, good archetype, and a lot of room to grow, mostly in the IQ department. Another guy who's capped out run blocking wise, but IOL just not a super highly rated freshman class, at least from the guys that I was able to scout up in the research I did for this video. But this guy is still really solid with a great development trait. At the 3 spot for IOL, we got Zandamela from Florida. Good development trait, good archetype, has quick step, and one of the few players that can actually improve his run blocking from the offensive line. So you love to see it. Zandamela maybe could have even been higher because of his relatively low skill caps. He's still got a lot of room to grow in pretty much every area. At the 4th spot, we're down into the raw strength archetypes here for Champ. I mean, I think name value alone, just being your first name Champ, that's got to get you on the list at some point, which is what we have here. Also, we have great development trait, of course, and the physicals. I mean, these raw strength archetypes, the one thing they got going for them is they got the good physical traits. So I guess they're not going to need to spend the skill points in those as much, which will help overcome the fact that they need to spend so much more to increase their blocking, which, I mean, Champ here can't even get that much better at blocking. He can get even stronger, though. You love to see it. And rounding out our interior offensive lineman, Daniel Calhoun. Raw strength, unfortunately, but it just is what it is. Yeah, these are some very expensive upgrades for these raw strength offensive linemen. So I'd probably avoid recruiting them yourselves, but inheriting one is just what it is. And like I said at the top, the interior offensive line group was a little rough to find really good players. So if you can recruit really good interior offensive linemen, you can soon have the best one in the country, I think. My vote for the #1 edge rusher in college football 26 among the freshmen is Isaiah Gibson. Star development on him. He has really good physical abilities here, and he comes in with great speed and acceleration. Power moves already at an 88. This guy is just ready to contribute right away. I love power guys with speed. Isaiah Gibson, Daniel Gibson. Wow, shout out to the Cavs back in the day. Isaiah Gibson is a really awesome prospect for that power speed combo. Hayden Lowe out of Miami is just behind our #1 player here for best edge rusher. Power rusher with some very nice speed is always an archetype that I love. And he's got a couple of abilities to his name as well. And of course, that star development trait at 6'5", 250 pounds. This is an awesome edge rusher to have as a freshman. Nebraska making its first appearance on the video here for the #3 edge rusher. Honestly, probably could have made a argument for him to be a little higher. 6'7", 255 pounds, 83 overall star development. Maybe valued speed a little bit too much in my rankings here, but either way, #3 on the list is certainly nothing to bat your eyes at. Very good player, and that's actually all I have to say about him. He's an awesome player. What more else is there to say? 6'7", beast. Next up on the edge rankings list is Lance Jackson coming in. Impact development here. Cares about that pro potential. Has physical ability unlocked. Has a decent combination of strength and speed, as well as a ton of pass rushing upside here. Lots of room to grow there, which is exactly what you want from a freshman edge rusher. Final spot in the edge rankings goes to Jalen Wiggins. Only impact development on him, but great size, 6'5", 275 pounds, and some great pass rushing upside on him to finish off edge rushers. Moving on to the big guys in the middle. My pick for the best defensive tackle freshman in college football 26 is Aiden Breland from Oregon here. He has that 96 strength. He has some gold physical abilities, And he's a base 79 overall. He's getting some boosts here. A lot of these guys are getting boosts, so they're not the overall you'll see here kind of base roster wise. But Aiden Breland, that combination of development trait abilities, awesome strength, and some really solid room to grow as well, makes him, I think, the best defensive tackle freshman in college football 26. The second best defensive tackle in the game for me is Justice Terry. Star development, but what I really love about him is he's starting out with 80 speed and 85 acceleration, and look how much it still has room to grow. This guy is going to be an absolute demon speed-wise on the inside once he gets to later on in his career. So I couldn't have him very low on my list just because of the insane athleticism compared to the other defensive tackles that are at the top of the board overall wise. Justice Terry, absolute animal. Unlikely to transfer, unfortunately, because he would be somebody I would 100% be looking for, but the SEC conference prestige is not likely to drop. The third best defensive tackle among the freshmen in CFB 26 is Evans here for Texas A&M. Another man coming in with some serious strength at 95, which is what really put him in these rankings. A couple of physical abilities and that oh so important star development trait. Pretty much the highest we got in this video, except for that one receiver out of Texas Tech, Hudson. He was the only elite, so star is pretty much as good as we could get for 99% of the players in the video, and that's what Evans has. David Stone is next up on the list for defensive tackles for us. Impact development on him, and unless the Sooners have a really good year playing style wise, could be a guy that enters into the portal. 88 strength on him, 85 acceleration. And of course, as with pretty much every player we've looked at in this video, a lot of room to grow, which is important. But 85 overall, it was really just kind of the better development traits and athleticism that have him this far down on the list. But overall wise, he's as good as it will get for defensive tackles in terms of freshmen for CFB 26. Rounding out our list for the big beefy guys in the middle, it's Malik Autry, 6'5", 340, an absolute behemoth. 93 strength on him. Really good stuff there with, I mean, look at the upside there on the pass rushing, and look how much room there is to grow. And with that star development, he's got a really good chance to go for it. I honestly think maybe he could have been higher. I mean, a lot of these are, it's just like pick your poison. That's why I went to a top 5, because picking just 1 or 2 would have been really hard. But if you get 5, generally you're going to get all the best players. Even if maybe the order is not always going to be right, generally the best players are going to be on this list. Malik Autry, definitely one of the best big men on the interior of a defensive line in the game for freshmen. Back to LSU here for the number 1 player in my linebacker rankings. Now, linebacker, I mean, every position cares about speed, but linebacker, and one we'll get to next in terms of corner, is one that just speed is so important. So for my rankings, speed is going to matter a lot, maybe more than overall in a lot of cases. But of course, development trait is still going to be very important here. Singleton here has that very important star development, and he's tied for the fastest player on my list with 88 speed, 92 acceleration, and that's uncapped. And he just has so much room to grow. Also needs to get some of those abilities unlocked, though, coming in without any abilities. So number 1, mostly just because of his growth potential, maybe more than the player is that he is right now. But Tylen Singleton can be an absolute beast of a linebacker in the future. Zayden Walker next up on our linebacker rankings. Looking at this now, I actually think he should have been number 1. So I'd probably, even though he's number 2 on this list, he'd be number 1 because he has the same level of speed, but just higher overall, better physical abilities. I don't know why I initially had him at 2 and LSU guys 1, but yeah, let me go ahead and retroactively fix that now. Zayden Walker, best freshman linebacker in CFB 26. Elijah Groves, 6'4", 225, great size for linebacker. Star development, has the speed, 87 speed, but 95 acceleration is really nice. And a really good linebacker to build around. No physical abilities, unfortunately, but of course you could always earn those over time. Oregon has a few different players that could make the list for me on the linebacker spot. So they have a great freshman linebacker class, but the guy who ended up just having the most speed, which again I favored heavily in my rankings for this position, Braden Platt, 88 speed, 90 acceleration, star development, 78 overall. He's got really most of the package. The only thing he really doesn't have is those abilities. Yeah, he'll need to unlock those. But guys with high development trait, there's just going to be a good chance that you're getting those physical abilities up. Whether you're manually upgrading players or letting them upgrade themselves, either way, you're probably getting some of those abilities filled out throughout their career. At the 5 spot for linebackers, Christian Jones of Nebraska, star development. So we got some good dev traits here. 86 speed on him. Certainly good enough for Christian Jones and a lot of room to grow. Already has that gold house call. Has a bronze robber as well. Linebacker, not like the highest overalls of our group, but I think a really solid group of players in the rankings. I'll say that. My pick for the best college freshman corner in CFB 26 is DJ Pickett, a true freshman here who's 6'4", star development with 95 speed. That is just an absolute beast of a combination. Has that maxed out layout ability on top of that. Has a lot of room to continue to grow in his coverages. And that playing style is something that can be tough to maintain year over year. So he could certainly be somebody transferring out of LSU, somebody you could snag in the portal with whatever dynasty you're running. Or maybe, as long as you keep that playing style up, could be a great running mate for a Road to Glory kind of series. This is an absolute beast of a corner. Ellis Robinson here. Featured him in my last video for best freshman in the game. Of course, he was a true freshman then, a redshirt freshman now. Still very much so deserving of his spot on this rankings. Great physical abilities and star dev. Great speed as well. If it wasn't for the 6'4" nature and true freshman, which I do sometimes use as a tiebreaker in these rankings over a redshirt freshman, easily a player worthy of a number 1 spot. It was really a 2-man race at the very top for the cornerback rankings, although corner is a pretty good position overall. There were a lot of good players to choose from for the top 5 at this position, including, of course, Ellis Robinson. Sticking with Georgia, Andre Evans, at 6 foot tall, 195 pounds, and star development with that 96 speed is the next up on our list. Awesome corner prospect. Gotta love the speed. Just wish he had a better chance to transfer, as Georgia has that A+ pro potential, which likely going to keep him sticking around. Next on our list for corners is Marcellus Williams. Star development, needs that playing time. 92 speed, 94 acceleration. Good enough size. And a lot of room for growth in the coverage department, which you love to see for the boundary corner. And last but certainly not least for corners, although I guess technically in my rankings he would be considered the least, but of the guys that we've talked about at least. But, you know, last but not least, Josh Fussell here from Northwestern. Good speed, impact development. You got a little bit of a drop off here, I think, here from the guys that we talked about in our top 4, but still very good player. And I like to talk about teams that could be interesting for a dynasty rebuild occasionally, and I think Northwestern is one of those teams. Not only do we have a corner here to round out the group, but we'll see one of their players coming up in safeties as well. So a good start to a secondary for those who might be thinking about a Northwestern style of dynasty. I mentioned Oregon as a school that had some really great linebacker freshmen, but that wasn't even their best position. I think safety was the position that Oregon just totally dominated in terms of the best freshmen in the game. Starting with the number 1 player I have for freshman safeties in College Football 26 in Trey McNutt. Star development here. He has a great knockout ability, also has hammer. But he also is, I think, far and away of the players that I scouted for this video anyway, the fastest safety available that also had a really good development trait and overall and everything. This is an awesome safety to have on your squad, and I think the best safety in CFB 26. For the number 2 safety, we are staying at Oregon for Aaron Flowers here. You have a free safety and a strong safety, and there's even another safety who didn't make this list because of lower speed. So Oregon just has awesome safety talent here in College Football 26. A ton of room to grow here for Aaron Flowers. Doesn't have those abilities, which is part of why McNutt went over him, as well as the increased speed. Flowers with 90, still very solid at the safety spot, and a really good player in CFB 26. Heading to Texas A&M for the next safety on our list, 6'2", 200 pounds, Rashad Johnson Jr. with that star development and the 89 speed, which is definitely enough at the safety spot. And a lot of room to grow in the coverage department, the IQ department, and pretty much everything except for the speed, which he can get into the 90s, but not going to get much better than that. Great physical abilities, though, on Johnson. Damon Walters here, the second Northwestern defensive back on the list, which is why I think if you're looking to build a power conference school in College Football 26, certainly a team that I've considered using in a dynasty series myself. I think Northwestern makes some sense. They're one of the lowest overall schools available to rebuild if you're looking to instantly be in a Power 4 conference. So, and you get a decent start to your secondary with a couple of impact developments, freshman defenders with some pretty nice upside. And the final player we're going to rank today is Gregory Smith, the 5th best freshman safety in the game. 6'3", 217, 90 speed from North Carolina. A good player for Bill Belichick or yourself to build around in College Football 26 in your secondary. And that's going to wrap things up here for the top 5 freshmen at every position. Most positions I offered some honorable mentions on top of that as well. If you got any sort of value out of the video, I would much appreciate a like on it. And if you're interested in dynasty content in College Football 26, in the very near future, I'll be releasing a dynasty series of my own, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll be keeping up with some College Football 26 content in the months to come. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back soon with some more CFB 26, and I'll see you then.